Night of the Living Geek.
Hello and welcome to this week's Giant Sword Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Lynn. With us today, of course, are my noble and hairy are Taylor Hoyt.
Hello, what is up, internet and folks and people that love JRPGs?
Can you be any more monotone?
I could be more monotone.
Insert robot dance moves.
Also with us today is Connor White.
Hello, adventurer.
Thank you.
Hail.
Yeah, you actually don't sound monotone.
That's because I have a soul.
Mm.
Taylor, who sold his to the Dark Lord Tiamat for eternal life.
Mm-hmm. For one of those Zodiac stones, man. I gotta have it.
Which zodiac? Wait, what's your zodiac sign, Taylor?
Sagittarius.
Oh, so you would be Adramelk.
I can't believe you actually remembered that.
That's like one of the 3 or 4 that I remember the sign for. Final Fantasy Tactics, by the way.
Yeah,
if anyone's in the
Adramelk,
dark.
only to be outdone by Anaga Guggen. I'm just trying to think of some really random name.
Naga Guglielmato. Yeah, okay.
Who runs the pizza place down the street?
Sopra Mana Dagua Guccios.
All right, reel us back in, Nick. What are we doing today?
Today, we are talking about I Am Setsuna, as we hinted at last podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor, you have some news with us, or for us, some big stuff. We're also going to talk about some Final Fantasy 15, just because it's coming out in 2 months.
Just a little ride on the hype train.
Exactly.
You know, just a little jaunt.
Mm-hmm.
And then our topic of the day is most memorable towns that you found in JRPGs.
So that one's like not even like a topic. That's just like more of like a sonnet to some of the most awesome towns in JRPGs, which the best of which have personalities all their own, full of lively characters and personality, which I already said, but yeah.
Of course.
Continue.
And we are continuing our JRPG Beginner's Handbook with this week's system being PSP.
Which is kind of a shallow pool considering we just did PS1 last week where there's like a million choices.
Well, man, this week will be interesting. I think we're going to dig up some gems that people may or may not have heard of.
Yeah, PSP is definitely an overlooked system as far as like having RPGs on it. Kind of like an overlooked system just in general because it's handheld. But yeah.
If you are a JRPG player, you would need a PSP for
we'll talk about
other reasons.
We'll get there.
That I can't.
You know, Nick, my favorite thing about you is how articulate you are.
I know.
It's just really, it's uncanny.
What? Because I can't say you could hack your PSP.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could.
You could hack your PSP. I mean, I guess the one you gave me was hacked and it was pretty awesome, so I can't exactly knock that idea.
I did not hack it. He's lying.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
We found a back door.
It was completely lawful.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Hey, we own every game that's on there.
Yeah, dude. The emulators you put on that PSP Go, oh my god, dude. It's like the ultimate road machine. Like, if you're ever on a road trip and you got to kill time, like, PSP Go is so beautiful.
Dude, I totally have stadium events or for NES, one of the most rare games.
What's Stadium?
It's like,
events?
it's some rare Nintendo game, and I'm just being silly because we said we owned them all.
Wow,
Anyway.
you really knocked the crowd dead on that one.
Anyway.
And that's going to be what we're doing this podcast.
Okay, great. So, Taylor, I want to kick off with the news you're talking about.
news.
Because one of the pieces in particular you're going to share really primed my engine.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll save the biggest piece for last. So we'll go, I feel like, from maybe least to most. So
Sure.
As we talked about last week, there was some more Persona 5 footage that came out, and there was also, again, new footage that came out. Apparently it was... Again, I didn't watch it, but I saw the articles. There was some like battle gameplay, like showing what your summons or your persona look like when you use them for attacks and stuff like that. And then bits of apparently there's going to be a fishing mini game in Persona 5, so it showed what that looked like. So we didn't. I don't think any of us watched that. But if any of you are curious to check that out, then go to your favorite news site of your choice, Gematsu, Siliconera, or otherwise,
or the Google machine.
The Google machine will probably have it.
Well, it's funny, Taylor, because you're our like resident Persona specialist, and you haven't watched the footage because, well, that's your MO.
Exactly.
So
I'm
not much.
Trying to avoid all the.
We don't have much breakdown.
I
for
have
you on
watched
that,
the last. I watched some of the footage from last time, where it's like the intro.
Yeah,
and I want this game so bad.
Dude, it looks so sick. I can't wait.
So about this fishing mini game,
Yeah.
just because fishing mini games are just like such, I don't know, ubiquitous thing in JRPGs. So like, well, I know you didn't see it, Taylor. Nick, did you see anything on the fishing mini game? Because
No.
I'm curious how it stacks up to other iterations of.
I have a
JRPGs.
feeling this mini game is just gonna like increase your skills. So if you do good, you're probably get a point.
Yeah,
that's probably what all it's for. Like the typical, like instead of just like you did this event and your courage went up. Now you have to actually do like a little mini game.
Like it's active. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that's Persona 5 is going to be filled with a lot of that stuff because in 4, what happened is you would like go eat or you would go study and you didn't like do anything. It just said you did something.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of these like it shows like a batting cage mini game.
They like install like a little something like Mario Party kind of thing that you do instead of just
like a little quick time event or something.
I love it.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I mean, like mini games are the heart and soul of like the fringe fun of JRPGs. So.
Oh, totally. Like I could spend hours, and I did in the Gold Saucer. So
yeah,
more of that is always welcome.
Or at the Bledavik festival and Xenogears.
Oh yeah.
If my I can't even think of the word. If I'm right, if that's the those things are mini games now, days are gonna go by a lot slower.
I love it. Just I'm gonna put like 100 hours in this game. It's gonna be great.
Because some days when you don't have anything, you can't do any social links. You just like do like 2 things. It takes like a minute to do a day. Now it's gonna take like at least 5. So it's gonna be
saying all the right things to me, Nick.
On the slowest days.
Okay, now is not the time to start weeping.
Sorry.
Okay?
All right.
Please
sorry.
pull yourself together, sir.
All right. Next bit of news is an interesting thing that they've been doing on PS4 is they've been like upscaling PS2 games, like HDifying them, and
that's the technical term.
Yeah, of course. So they're not technically like remastering; they're not remaking them with new textures. They're just up-resing them so they can run at 1080p, and then giving them trophies and making them playable on PS2. So like
or on
Dark
PS4.
Sorry. So like a lot of the Dark Cloud games, Rogue Galaxy, Okage Shadow King, just a bunch of weird games. And so today, Legend of Legaia 2, which was a PS2 game, got rated for PS4. And if you don't know what that means, there's like a ratings board that, mature rating or teen rating or whatever, it got a rating for PS4. So
it's kind of like an equivalent of like if like a patent was like, put in for something. Right. It's like kind of like just official proof that it exists.
Right. It's whether it's impending like next week or it's like months away. Like you don't submit a game if you're not going to release it. That's like a waste of money.
Right. So I'm pumped just because I'm the Legend of Legaia guy at this table. And I was really, really into 1. And I remember years back, I was like, oh, there's a sequel on PS2. Okay. And like, I think it was kind of mired in like that PS2 dark age where all the models and everything kind of looked like crap. And a lot of the games kind of blended together. So I think I just gave it a cursory look, but I think this is the perfect opportunity to like play the sequel to one of my favorite PS1 RPGs of all time. Like one of the most undercover great PS1 RPGs. So that's awesome news and totally unexpected.
Oh, yeah, I know. Like, what a way to like give that series some life. Like, maybe some people will play it again. You never know.
Right, and like the fact that it's being chosen for this kind of makes me think like, oh, like maybe there was something to this game because I feel like if it was like a crappy game that like didn't sell well, they wouldn't bother. But there must kind of like be a cult following for it. So I'm excited to take a look, especially with up-res graphics. Sign me up.
Mm-hmm. Sony Tales of Destiny remake. On PS4.
Not gonna happen.
Keep praying at the foot of your bed, son, and
think about it.
Yeah, maybe you'll get your wish. Maybe.
So I meant to show you guys this before the podcast started, but I'm just going to mention it so our viewers can listen to it or go watch it, and then I'll show you after. But there was this game that got announced called Lost Soul Aside, and apparently it's some indie JRPG, and it looks crazy. Like apparently,
wait, sorry. Lost Soul Aside. You mean side as in like the suffix that denotes like murder, like ICIDE?
It's ASIDE, like to the side, yeah.
Right.
And basically it looks like the exploration looks like a JRPG, like all these huge towns and like open fields, but then the combat looks like a Platinum Games type of game, like crazy Devil May Cry stuff. I'll show you. I know what this is. Doesn't make for great conversation, but for the listeners, go check it out. Lost Soul Side. Apparently, it was made by one guy. I don't know how that's possible. Like, it looks way too good to be made by one guy. And it's apparently an Unreal 4 engine game he's working on. So now that it got a lot of attention, maybe more people will want to work on it.
Dude, that's too much workload for one dude. I'm a little skeptical.
I think what happened is that he might have bought like pre-made assets and then just jumbled together his own thing.
Okay. Well, I guess as long as it looks good and plays well, I mean, however works,
Oh, totally. So yeah, definitely, guys, go check out the trailer, and then me and Connor and Nick, maybe we'll discuss it next week. But
kind of sounds like a cool crossover.
Yeah, it looks pretty sweet. And so then to kind of wrap up the news, Level 5 has this event they do every year called Level 5 Vision, or I think they do it every year.
This is the makers of Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, Professor Layton, Dark Cloud, Rogue Galaxy. So they're well renowned for their JRPG prowess, and so I'm going to talk about some of the games they announced and re-showed off. Not all of them necessarily JRPGs, but I feel like our audience would be interested.
Mm-hmm.
So they have another Inazuma 11, which is basically like a soccer RPG, which sounds weird, but like you play these little QTEs while in the middle of like a match, and your characters level up in an RPG-like fashion.
Wow.
So another one of those new characters. I kind of keep up with that series like from the side, and I didn't recognize anybody, so it looked like it was brand new. The one I'm most excited about is there's a new Professor Layton game, but you play his daughter. It was just called Lady Layton.
Well, you are Professor Layton like himself. You're a fiend for the series, so I know you're juiced.
This reminds me of a puzzle. But no, I love that series. Like super charming, fun, graphic style, like cool mystery stories. I love that stuff.
And what's that coming out on? 3DS?
So 3DS and then on Android and iOS.
Oh,
a lot of these games are coming out for mobile, which sucks. Some exclusively, and I wish they would come out on 3DS. Like this next game, Fantasy Life 2. For those of you that never played Fantasy Life, imagine like it was basically like checklist the game. Like you would get jobs like, okay, I'm going to be a carpenter and an archer and like a cook. And so you would get tasks like go kill 5 boars and then make 5 weapons and then cook 5 things. And each had like little mini games.
Is it kind of like a more RPG like Sims? Because that's kind of what obviously the name kind of like gives you that kind of image.
No, yeah, that's definitely what it is. And the idea is that like by the time you've beaten the game, you'll have done all these different lives is what they call them. They don't call them classes, they call them lives. So like you're an archer or a knight or blacksmith.
Become like the jack of all trades.
Right. And it's super fun. Like it reminds me of Harvest Moon in a way. It's like tending a farm shouldn't be fun, but like just checking these things off in this like really whimsical, charming art style is just like super fun. So that's unfortunately right now only coming to mobile. Which sucks, but I really liked it on 3DS. So if you guys haven't played Fantasy Life on 3DS, definitely go check it out.
Well, hey, maybe it's a boon that it'll be on mobile. I mean, you never know. There's like 0 chance you think you'll pick it up for your phone.
Maybe it depends. If it's like a free-to-play, like microtransaction-laden garbage fest, then probably not.
Wow, you would avoid a garbage fest? Wow, that's really weird.
I know, right? And these last two, I don't really have much to go on, but these are like the new what they call cross media promotions. Like they make a game and then they're making an anime and toys and all that stuff.
Right.
So the first one is called Snack World. It's basically like a pretty generic looking like JRPG, but apparently there's like a lot of toys that are associated with it. Like you get little plasticky things and
it's all based on culinary stuff.
I guess so. Yeah. I think everything has some type of food twist to it.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have a pretty big I don't know plan for it.
Are there any giant swords in the game? Do you know?
Probably. There's probably going to be a giant sword or two.
All right, then I'll give it a flyer.
It's not going to be a sword. It's going to be a giant fry.
A giant butcher's cleaver.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I can get behind.
There you go.
That's a decent facsimile.
And the last one is something brand new. It was something called Mega 10 Musashi, and basically it was like a alien invasion type of game. Like aliens have invaded Earth, and you're like the robot defense force or whatever.
Any relation to the brave fencer Musashi?
I don't believe so. That was my first thought. I'm like, ooh, brave fencer Musashi, but no, I think it's no relation.
Yeah, there's one in the annals of early PS1 history right there.
Yeah, no kidding. I've never played that. I heard it's pretty great though.
Brave Fencer. It's just like a 3D like platformer, right? Basically,
Yeah, I think
kind of
so.
like a prototype because that was a pretty damn new thing at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But that was pretty much it. And
No White
sadly,
Knight Chronicles 3?
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it.
Dude, you got to read the room. I mean, the people are clamoring for it. Come
absolutely.
on. Jesus.
But sadly, no Ni no Kuni 2. That was kind of what everybody was hoping for, but I think, as Nick kind of mentioned before the podcast, that might be saved for either Tokyo Game Show or possibly the PlayStation Experience at the end of the year. So
yeah, it would be kind of strange if they just like glossed over it if they only have a few things to show. It makes a little more sense if they're going to kind of like put a ton of emphasis on it and be like, and here's a bunch of stuff all at once.
When is Tokyo Game Show?
it's in September.
Okay.
So it's a couple months away.
It is really strange, though, that one of their hugest like intellectual properties, they didn't really say anything about it, like their little convention. But I mean, there's plenty of reasons that could be justified. So, you know.
I think they just, and then they had a bunch of Yokai Watch stuff, but none of us have played it or really care.
I kind of want to, but I really don't know much about Yokai Watch, but it kind of has like a certain charm that has piqued my interest from afar a little bit. I've always kind of like said I'm going to play it, but haven't got around to it.
Me too. I'm exactly in the same boat.
Yokai Watch 2 is coming over here, right?
Yeah, in November or something.
I would say go get that one, because apparently that's the good one.
Superior?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's when they started doing the Pokemon thing by making like 2 versions.
Oh, gotcha.
And I think it's just...
Well, we all know that needing to purchase, more things to complete the experience is just what, every series is missing.
Oh,
so.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I heard with Final Fantasy 15 there's going to be a red and a blue version, actually.
Okay. Why don't you get the red? I'll get the blue.
It's coming out on Game Boy. And anyways.
And that's pretty much it for news. But, lots of interesting happenings. I feel like we're on the verge of a bunch of crazy, awesome big games coming out. So
yeah, it's gonna be crazy trying to divide our resources and try to play a bunch of them so we can break them down for you.
Yeah,
we'll have to be diligent.
Absolutely. I'm sure one episode will be just completely dedicated to Final Fantasy 15, once it comes out. So,
and this is like a pseudo cliffhanger, but like, dude, that idea you had for an entire episode, can't wait to unleash that.
Yeah, that's gonna be
it's gonna be ridiculous.
Nick, are you gonna buy Final Fantasy 15? It's a JRPG, and you're into JRPGs.
I don't know.
You don't know?
You curate a JRPG podcast, and you're not going to buy one of the biggest releases in a couple of years, maybe?
Mm-hmm. My JRPG knowledge and passion is not Final Fantasy.
It's
yeah, but you're going to have to at least do a little exploration. You're going to have to get a taste of it.
I'll hang out with Taylor when he gets it, and I'll see. And then if I like what I see, I'll buy it.
I can't argue with that. I got nothing against that. That's totally reasonable.
Okay. Well, that's it for news. Shall we move on?
Well, we said we were just going to talk about this for a minute because there's not really anything new to like break down or talk about.
Yeah.
But you brought this up the other day, Taylor. Like, I can't believe that Final Fantasy 15 is so close.
2 months away. I put out a tweet last night just saying 2 months away. I can hardly believe it. Like, this game was announced 10 years ago as Versus 13.
A decade.
That's insane. And like, I feel like this is
like that kind of turnover rate for like new titles is like Tool putting out albums.
Well, let's put it this way: in the time span that game was announced till now, Naughty Dog has put out 4 Uncharted games and The Last of Us, and
like those like feel old now.
Yeah, right.
It's, like, in retrospect, so
yeah,
just a little perspective there.
But like, I think more than the game like itself. Like, I'm sure we're gonna love it. It's gonna be great. But to me, it's like, in a weird way, like the return of like a long lost friend or something like that, because we were just like mired down with these bad Final Fantasy 13 games.
It's the prodigal son.
Exactly. It's like, okay, it's finally coming back. It's going to be relevant again. It's like, I mean, for me, Final Fantasy 7 was like the game that really got me to see games in a different way. So for it to make this comeback is just like, I have a lot of like emotional investment in this game. You know what I mean?
And it's like, it's weird because playing the game is going to be like almost such a small part of it. Like how I would compare it is like, this is a very ungamer kind of metaphor or comparison, but it's like the Mayweather and Pacquiao fight, how like it was such a big deal, and it's like, oh my god, like these guys, like these two greats are finally fighting, like this huge like social cultural build up, like, are you gonna watch it, blah blah blah, who's gonna win? Everybody has an opinion on if he's going to win or if this is going to happen. And it's like the huge buildup is almost like even bigger than the event itself.
Yeah, totally.
So it's like just kind of riding that wave leading up to like the release date is going to be really interesting, because it's like at that point, like it's going to be crazy where our heads are at, like so far away from just like playing a video game. You know, it's going to be, we're going to have all these expectations and all this. It's going to be crazy.
Except me.
Yeah, except Nick, because he is the ultimate iconoclast.
But this might be a dumb question, but you'll be there day one with me?
Of course.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be strapped in, ready to launch off into outer space like Matt Damon in The Martian.
There you go. And the nice thing is that the September 30th is a Friday, I believe, so I'll just be able to maybe take that day off and just enjoy it all day, and have plenty to talk about on Sunday. So.
Yeah. I might have to expend a sick day for that Friday there.
There you go.
No shame.
I wonder.
You wonder what?
How Taylor's gonna react to Final Fantasy 15.
I think I'm gonna love it. I'd like to think I'd love it. I'm gonna love it.
I don't know, but you're definitely whispering like you're a phone sex operator.
I wonder.
So, what are you wearing? No, but yeah, Taylor, your opinion will be sought by many once the release comes. So
you can bet
it's gonna be really fun. We'll probably have to do like a full episode or a mini episode just breaking that down. But
I'm sure.
And then a month later, another episode of Taylor's attitude on it.
Yeah,
he's gonna be like, "This game sucks, and I'm gonna trade it in for Tales of Vesperia."
Yeah, we're gonna have a funeral for Final Fantasy 15 1 week after it comes out, just burying it forever. We'll never play it again. Worst game of all time.
Taylor.
It could happen.
I mean, it has the potential to be like this amazing, like return to form, or it could just be bad. I mean, well, who knows?
It's not going to return to form. It's changing. It's evolving.
Yeah. By return to form, I mean like culturally relevant again. Like, do you remember when like Final Fantasy was like it was like an event every time a Final Fantasy game came out, and then it just like stopped mattering.
Like I saw a Final Fantasy 9 commercial on TV, like watching TV.
Oh yeah, there was
back in the day.
There was a billboard of Final Fantasy 7 next to my like old house back in elementary school. It was the Sister Ray, and I don't know what it said, but I just remember looking at the giant cannon. I'm like, that's cool.
Jesus. I don't know. I feel like games don't get like that, like kind of advertisement like they used to. It's more. I guess it's more just like the advertising money has moved away from that like style of advertising. It's more like, you know, you see
online or whatever,
on TV, online, all that stuff. But like I remember when Warcraft 3 was first coming out, I was like, you know, getting a ride home from school or something, like late elementary, and I see this big banner on the front of Fry's Electronics that just like a big orc's face, and it says Warcraft 3 coming soon.
Wow.
I'm just like,
wow, I want it.
Just thinking back to when that was a thing that you would see, like I miss that almost.
I know, right?
Warcraft 3. That's for another podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
But after Final Fantasy 15, let's talk about a game that's
another Square Enix RPG that you guys have both been playing and enjoying, I assume.
Yeah,
I am Setsuna.
Yeah. I've haven't gone as deeply as Nick. So Nick, why don't you kick it off? And
I've delved
dovetail
deeply into this game, about 10 to 15 hours. It reminds me, and this might be sacrilege, but it reminds me of Lunar.
I was about to say Lunar mixed with Chrono Trigger because of how the fights are.
It just reminds me of playing Lunar. It's like it's super basic but charming. And I like all the characters. The characters are really good.
Right. It's like Lunar with the battle system in the sense that it's extremely simplistic but also engaging.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a hard duality to pull off.
It seems it's basic, but there's also complexity in there, like with the Spurnites and the talismans that you need to combo with, and then the fluxes that you get.
Yeah, I haven't even got to the fluxes yet. I don't even know what the flux that is.
Yeah, dang, I was just gonna use that.
It was hanging right there, man. Yep. I had to reach out, grab it. But I do really like the momentum system where it's kind of almost Legend of Dragoon-ish.
Oh, really? You have to time attack.
Yeah, it's like right before your attack lands, you hit square and it like adds an additional effect. But you can also do it on like your spells or items, and like it has it like modifies each ability in a different way. And so that's really cool. And you could like build up a couple of these momentum points to like kind of chain bigger combos. And there's dual text, kind of like in Chrono Cross / Trigger, where two characters in your party will have an ability.
Oh, nice.
And you can have them take their turn together to use like a powered up dual ability.
That's cool.
And so that's always something I really liked. So
yeah, what fluxes do is it changes your momentum mode. So sometimes your momentum mode, will.
Great radio.
Yeah, sorry. But like instead of just doing like added damage, you will do added damage plus it heals all your party, or it adds a status effect.
I like it.
So it's like you customize your character to do certain things on certain requirements.
Quick beef, Nick.
Yeah.
So the momentum system I was talking about, where you hit square right before your attacks, almost kind of like Gunblade from FF8.
Sure. Yeah.
It explains to you that momentums are important and they modify your attacks and that they're a thing, but they never explain to you how to use them. Like, it never says press square right before an attack. It just says, like, momentums are important and use them all the time because they're extremely useful.
That's weird.
And I was, like, doing attacks, and I could see my little momentum points, like, building up on my character plate.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I have the points, and I'm, like, pressing left, right, square, try, like all this stuff like on the menu, trying to figure out how to do this momentum thing, and I had to Google it. And
that's kind of dumb.
I ended up finding a page where it's like, if you've come to this page, you probably can't figure out how to do momentums also. Like, you're not alone. It's like, I made this page because they didn't explain how to do it in the game.
Yeah, the explanations are sometimes very vague, but
which is really a bummer because the system is totally awesome. I'm a huge fan, and so like I love pretty much everything I've experienced in like the 3 hours I've played, but that simple thing, I was like, and there's no like visual cue when you attack, you know, like
there
you figured they would show like a little.
There is,
but it's not like, it doesn't say like square, like press square.
Yeah. It just,
it's like a little light flashes up right before you attack, and that's your window to press square.
Mm-hmm.
But there should be like a little square that pops up on the screen, kind of like God of War, you know, where it's like press this. It's like you just have to figure it out. What the hell is that?
I don't know. I think they might have patched it in, but I remember going.
Well, I was doing this. I downloaded the game yesterday and played it, and I had to Google how to do momentum.
I don't know how I figured it out, because I remember I played the boss battle, the tutorial boss battle, and I was like, okay, how do you do momentum mode? And I redid it, and I read it again, and then I figured out it was square. I don't know how, but
clearly it's
you're clearly
vague.
just an ascendant, human being.
I have it recorded. So
intellect is
I don't
far
have it
greater than mine.
No, I'm trying to think how I knew that.
But yeah, that being said, it's a wonderful system. So it's just that's a tiny beef to have. So
let me ask you about the tone of the game. So apparently it's very like morose and sort of like somber. I think everybody kind of knows the general idea of this game is that like you're off to find this girl who's like going to sacrifice herself, right?
Well, you meet her right in the beginning.
Yeah.
And basically, this isn't spoilers. This is like the story. So this village is like constantly being besieged by monsters, and they're like growing, more ferocious by the year, blah, blah, blah. And so they have this ritual where they select a sacrifice somehow. I imagine that's going to be revealed later. Nick probably knows. But basically, one person, it's usually a girl, like every year or whatever, gets sent off like to be a sacrifice, and like for whatever reason, I'm sure will be explained to me since I'm still at the beginning, and that like placates the monsters and keeps the village safe.
Okay.
So it's not just the village; it's the entire world.
Oh. Okay.
Oh.
So the entire world is like monsters versus humans. Can they coexist? That's pretty much the story, and you just figure what's going on the entire time.
But here's how the story starts. Like, this is the very beginning. So again, no spoilers here. Like your character Endir, you're this masked kind of mercenary dude, and basically the game starts and you get a contract. You're unscrupulous, unfeeling mercenary. You get this contract to go and kill the sacrifice, which is Setsuna, which would basically like plunge civilization into darkness because the monsters would not be,
Quelled.
Yeah, exactly, and the monsters would overrun civilization. So, but your character doesn't really give a crap. So it's a really interesting thing where right when the game starts off, you're trying to kill Setsuna, basically the namesake of the game. So it's a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
But like, and typically, like, I feel like I play JRPGs usually for like the charm and the whimsy, and it's like usually pretty upbeat. Like, is it like so sad and morose that it like is like impending on you, like it kind of ruins the mood, or is it like almost add to it in a way?
It's like, I think it's kind of like lugubrious in a way, but it's not like depressing. Like the palettes and like the palettes and the appearance of everything, it's like very kind of soft and gentle, like where I'm at, like the snow areas. Like it seems like it's very serene, you know, and like the music is all piano. It's like kind of minimalist and all really pretty, and it's like it's a very kind of tranquil game, but there's like definitely a somber undertone to it. Just because I guess the subject matter, it's like you're helping this girl on a journey to like be sacrificed, you know. It's like a really strange dynamic, which I think is really cool. It kind of like broaches some emotions that are hard to tap into for RPGs. Like it's, I don't know, it's like serious, but it's not a bummer.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
it's like it's
and Setsuna lightens the mood a lot.
Yeah, like the character Setsuna is just like a sweet angel. It's impossible to not like root for. So
nice.
So yeah, it's kind of like Persona 3, where it's like really dark, but you know some of the characters lighten up the mood.
And it does have a lot of personality, and like the character portraits, you know, like it has classic RPG text boxes with the character portraits on the left, and like the portraits they have, like the art form is fantastic. Like the little character art for Endir and all his text boxes, and Setsuna and Eterna, like they all look really charming and have like personality.
Nice.
So it's like you want to get to know more about the characters.
And there's no voice acting at all. It's just battle in the battles. It's Japanese voices though.
Battles.
Sorry, I was like gonna hiccup and I couldn't.
Sorry, I'm just ripping you today. Actually, I rip you every week.
Yeah, it's what you do.
Get used to it.
But thumbs up, you'd recommend it to anybody that's looking for a good solid JRPG?
It's a very solid JRPG.
Yeah, I can't believe I bought it yesterday and I've already forgotten. Is it 30 or 40?
I think it's
30.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I definitely recommend it. I'm only like an hour or two in, but like I look forward to getting home and playing more. Like I'm thinking about it. I'm looking forward to it.
That's what happened to me when I first started playing it. I was playing it for like 2 hours, and then I went to work, and I was just thinking about it the entire time. Like I really want to go back and play it.
I think it's the crispness of the battle system, and also that kind of like immaterial, like serene quality that it has. Like, it seems like very, I don't know, try not to use a bunch of flowery words here, but like, I don't know, otherworldly, kind of like celestial kind of feel.
No, totally. I watched Nick play it for like 10 minutes, and I was just like, whoa, like the smoothness of the animation and just like the crispness and stuff. I'm like, I could totally get into this game. Like, for me, what I love is like exploring and just being in a world. And like that first place you show up, that when you get off the boat and you're in that little dock city, I'm like, dude, this place looks freaking awesome. So
yeah, they all the locations look really nice.
Yeah.
But as some people did say, the dungeons sometimes look similar to each other, like same palettes.
Word.
But
I haven't got far enough to comment on that.
It's just it's like old RPGs. You know how some RPGs have like same dungeon palettes, but they're completely different. But
For
they just
sure.
look similar.
Well, just because, you know, sometimes I got to be a negative Noreen, but I one thing that's a tiny beef is like the Bravely Default style feet where they just have the little peg legs.
I saw.
For some reason, I just don't really like those.
Me too. I said the same thing, Nick. I'm like, why don't they have feet? I don't get it. Like,
I think it's because that everywhere's snow, so your feet are under the snow.
That's ridiculous.
I that's what I figured. That's the only.
Well, that's a ridiculous thing to figure.
Oh, fine.
Or
yours is just a weird art style choice.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of cute, but like I don't know if the cuteness like lends itself to what the game is going for.
And it's not like the PS4 is incapable of rendering feet or anything like that. No, I don't understand.
It's a design choice.
Rendering feet just would have pushed it over the top. It wouldn't have been able to handle the graphical, demand.
I think they pushed it out too fast, and like, what about the feet? It's like, don't worry about it.
We'll add it in the sequel.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still
that's like will be the number one like selling point of the sequel is like
has feet.
Yeah.
Well, I remember they did that with Fire Emblem, because I remember Fire Emblem Awakening didn't have feet, and everybody was like, "What the heck is this?" They had like little pegs, and then in Fire Emblem Fates they had real feet, and people were like, "Yes."
So Fire Emblem did it before Bravely Default. Then
I don't think Bravely Default has weird feet or anything.
I think
it was just.
I think I'm thinking of something else.
I think you're thinking of Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I think I'm confused. Pardon me.
It was just the characters in Bravely Default were chibi.
Yeah, they look similar. They remind me of the I Am Setsuna characters, kind of.
I didn't get too far in Bravely Default, so that's probably why I'm
the character models are super kawaii.
I like it.
Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the game. I remember I just found this like plains, It was called the Plains, but all it had was a tree in the middle and really upbeat music. Like for like the first time ever, it was really upbeat music. And all I did, there's nothing there. You just walked through it and you're done. And I was like,
There's got to be some kind of secret.
What this is for.
There's going to be something there later.
And I'm like, this music. I just stood there walking around because I liked the song. And I was like, I really like this song.
I bet at some juncture you'll go back there and there'll be like some wacky NPC whose personality totally like corresponds to the upbeat song. That's my guess.
The tree is alive.
The tree. Sure. But yeah, I'm loving.
Hello, I am Mambo the tree. I don't know why he's Jamaican. Whatever.
But yeah, I'm loving I Am Setsuna. I have not gotten sick of it. I've been playing it on my Vita a lot. That was pretty cool.
I didn't even think of that.
Remote play,
yeah. I was just like, it's good. It's good RPG just to play on your Vita if you don't want to sit in front of TV. Just lay in bed, play it.
Nice.
Word.
But yeah, do you have any other thing to add, Connor?
No, I'm just excited to keep playing it. That's all.
Yeah, me too. I just want to beat it really bad. That was weird.
Really bad.
All right, so let's move on to our next topic, which is our most memorable towns of JRPGs.
I got a couple good answers stored up, but the real question is, who's gonna go first?
Oh, I'm primed and ready.
I think we should make Taylor go.
Yeah, Taylor's chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
So I've got, I think 3. I don't know if we're allowed to have 3, but
we just talked about
having 3 each is pretty much perfect.
I only have 2, but
okay. So when we were discussing this earlier, the town that first like immediately came to my mind was another Termina, or it might have been home Termina. I think it's another Termina.
It's another, yeah.
From Chrono Cross, and basically this town is like this sort of tropical, like really fun, upbeat, like port town. So you walk up and it's got like these stairs that lead up to like this really beautiful like view of the ocean.
And the whole town is constructed like this like white stone. So it's like kind of got this really nice, kind of like reflects in the sunlight.
Is another the one with the festival?
Yeah, that's the more upbeat one. I think home is when it like is taken over by the military or whatever.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So Another World one is where everyone's happy and everything's thriving.
Okay.
Because that's when the music is like super upbeat. Like the Another World Termina song is one of the most iconic from the Chrono Cross soundtrack, which is iconic in its own right.
It's like so. We were just playing it earlier, and it's like super fun. It's like it's got castanets and bagpipes and like weird little drum. Like it's the weirdest combination of instruments, but it's just such a fun song.
It makes you want to snap your fingers and do some dance moves that don't exist.
Absolutely,
for sure.
But like, there's just so much going on in that town. Like, first of all, you have to figure out how to break into the Viper Mansion, I believe. It's
Viper
called?
Manor.
And you can break in one of 3 ways, and I believe all 3 characters that you can accomplish that with are in Termina. So you have to like, and you don't even know that. You just like walk around like, oh, this must be how the game goes. But like, there's like 3 different ways you can do it, which is kind of crazy.
The way they did it's kind of like it makes it happen organically. Just kind of as you're poking around the town, whichever route you take, you'll kind of run into one of these 3 guys,
right?
And strike up a conversation. Mention, oh yeah, I'm trying to break into the Viper Manor, and each of these 3 guys has a different motive for wanting to do so, and so it's awesome, yeah.
And I think one of my favorites, if you have grabbed the flowers early, you get one of the best characters in the game, Glenn.
Well, actually, you grab the flowers the first time you're there, and then you get them later.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
but same thing.
But yeah, it's one of those towns where I'm like, man, if I wish this place would real, because I'd love to like explore and walk around there. It just seems like a fun place to be. Like the churros, remember that little weird churro vendor in the shadows?
Yeah, or you could go, because there's all these little like street vendors.
Yeah.
Like as you go down the main drag, and like one of them is like, here, I'll draw your portrait for you, and then like you have him draw a portrait of any character, and then it's just like his portrait from the text box from the menu screen. You're like, okay, that's a little lazy, but I'll give it to you. Or you could have the mysterious fortune teller tell your character's fortunes.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like, if you go to the far end where you can buy items, there's like people jumping in the ocean and stuff like that. I'm like, man, this place is just freaking cool. So
right, and there's a bunch of parts where you just walk to a part of the town, like a little scene will unfold before you, and you can meet all characters that you can recruit then and later. It's just hopping.
Oh yeah, it's so good. So anyway, do we want to go all our towns at once, or like we'll go
round robin.
Okay, so why don't you go then, Connor? Tell us about a JRPG town you have fond memories of.
Well, I think a huge part of like the spirit of a classic JRPG town/village is, of course, the music is a huge component because that gives it like the soul.
Oh, totally.
Its feel. And then I think like having a variety of like of people who all like feel real and have stories to tell, to talk to all over the town, like the more the better. Like the more lively and impactful the town is with people, like the better, because it feels like a real bustling big city that where you could just walk in. If you were a character in that game, you just walk in for the first time and just go, wow, like look at how much there is to do, all these different kinds of people. So I gotta say, the town that sums that up for the best for me is Rabanastra in Final Fantasy XII. Because as far as like going the extra mile to create a town that feels real and like a believable actual big city, like they just knocked it out of the park on that one.
Oh, totally. Like that was like if I could pick 4, that would have been 4 probably.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just seems like for a PS2 game, for it to accomplish what it did, it feels like a living, breathing place. There's like all these like market vendors, there's like a bar where there's like just tons of people, there's like so much going on, like different cultures and like races of like
right, because you get the Bengas, the Vieras, the Humes, like all the different races, and they all have their unique personalities, and like each shopkeeper like has a distinct like personality and mannerisms. You can kind of get to know them because through the game it's like a central hub. You don't just like go there once and then like pass through, like you keep coming back to Rabanastra. Right. It's like your hometown. And so like by the end of the game, so much has happened and so much has changed there. It's like you know all the like residents and all the shopkeepers that you've been interacting with since the beginning of the game, and like so much has happened. It's like it really feels like a home, And so Rabanastra from FF12, Squaresoft just killed it with that one.
And I think what's for me what's most memorable is, I think I could be wrong, but when they showed the first piece of like concept art for 12, and it's just like this shot of Rabanastra, and it looks like it's just this huge sprawling city, and it's like very painterly and like watercolory. I'm like, oh my god, what is gonna be going on in this town?
Yeah.
And it just like my imagination went wild.
Yeah,
and
they
like
crushed the art for it.
Oh man, it's so I can't believe that they did what they did on the PS2. Like yeah. Honestly, like I feel like
how much is crammed on that one disc. Like
it's insane.
It's mind-boggling.
I feel like that town is more interesting than any of the Final Fantasy 13 towns. Like, and that's really saying something.
There's no Final Fantasy 13 towns.
Exactly.
Well, I guess that's a real tough competition there, huh?
And by 13, I mean like the entire trilogy. Like even in Lightning Returns, there's like proper towns in Lightning Returns, but they're all garbage compared to Rabanastra. So
right, and also just because it bears mentioning, Arcadia, which is like the Imperial city that's opposite of Rabanastra, basically. Like that's a really great place too, because there's basically these side quests where you're like an information broker, and you'll go around and talk to people, and they'll tell you like anecdotes, and then you go and talk to other people. Like say one guy is like, oh, I'm a minstrel, from another town. I just arrived here and I'm looking for work, and you can like commit that story to memory. And somewhere else in the town, there's a guy who's like, say like, oh, my wedding is tomorrow and I need a musician. You go and like tell him that story and like link them up, and then you get this thing called a chop, which is like kind of like a form of currency that shows like how respected you are in Arcadia.
Interesting.
So it's like really cool. You go around like helping all these people and just like talking to them and hearing their stories, and you get like collect these marks that way you like go into more distinguished parts of the city. Like just I can't believe the amount of effort put into that.
Totally.
So yeah, just all FF12 towns is basically what I'm saying.
I don't know how I could follow that.
You're gonna have to.
I'm kind of scared a little bit. All right, so one of a town that affected me in my childhood was the town of Gumbo in Grandia.
Gumbo, huh?
Gumbo. It's silly
My
word.
dad makes a mean gumbo.
Yeah,
he does.
really
I've had it. I can corroborate that.
It's out of this world. Man.
Well, Gumbo is it looks like an island resort town. Like everyone there is like a couple.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And it's just like it's like right after this big like story moment of Grandia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just you and Fina, just 2 characters. All your other party members are gone now.
How romantic!
Yes, so so they get mistaken for a couple, and they go on this huge adventure, and the whole town just makes them 2 grow as characters. So it's very memorable what happens to them. But it's just really funny.
Is it like heartwarming?
It's very heartwarming, like super heartwarming, and yeah, it's like aww. But the funny thing is, like before the heartwarming moment, after you do the whole like crazy thing you need to do, the town was scared to be a couple because only a couple could do this task, be sacrificed pretty much.
Okay.
And that's why Fina and Justin got sent to do it because they thought they were a couple.
I got you. I get what you're saying.
And after all that was done, they all became everyone was a couple, and you just talk to these people, and they're the dirtiest things in the world. I'm like, how is this in a kid's game? It's censored, but you know what they're saying. And I was like, holy crap, these guys are going to have an orgy on this beach.
And this was before the era of, being flooded with memes about eating ass.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
It was just really fun. As a kid, I did not get what they were saying, but now when I replayed it recently, I read all these things. I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy.
You can't say that. Why are you saying that to a stranger, Mr. NPC?
Why are you telling me this? I'm 13.
Yeah, please keep the details to yourself.
But yeah, that whole story segment is it's pretty much when Grandia goes into its second half, and
and the characters start to become more mature.
Yes, a lot more mature, and
it's always such a rewarding part of RPGs that have dynamic protagonists like that. It's I don't know, the growth is so awesome.
Yeah, so that's memorable for me.
Totally.
Word. Well, let's keep it moving, Taylor.
So
back to you.
The town that Connor thought I probably would have talked about first, and one I've definitely ranted and raved about in the past is Fletz from The Legend of Dragoon, and there's going to be a theme here because Fletz is very similar to Termina in that it's got the white kind of cobblestone look to it.
Kind of almost feels Greek,
Yeah,
those
totally.
shots of Greek with all the white cities across the...
Right near the ocean,
right.
Yeah, totally. This must have been that must have been a huge inspiration.
Very Mediterranean,
yeah. And the thing that I like about it is there's this little creek or river that runs through the middle of the town, so you always hear water flowing. But
relaxing.
I think totally
those classic PS1 water flowing sounds.
Oh yeah, so good. So good.
It's kind of the response didn't match the subject matter.
That's flowing water.
Easy. Stay with me, boogly.
But I think maybe my favorite aspect about Fletz is that town is obsessed with the stars. So everywhere you walk around, there's little constellation decorations, or there's the windows. Yeah, there's a giant telescope that plays a pretty big part of the story at that part of the game. And then when you go to the bar, there's this bar there, and they're yeah, we believe in the stars, and you kind of hear this whole story, and it just
hippies.
They're pretty much hippies, yeah. But yeah, it just sets a tone, and it seems that'd be a cool place to just grab a drink and talk to the locals and hang out or whatever.
Right. It's like Venice, kind of just with that whole feel.
Oh yeah.
I guess I don't know. That's kind of a trite comparison, just because it has rivers flowing through it. But
no, but totally seaside, absolutely. And I think my favorite part is when you can't an old school game. There's no day night cycle. It's just you go there and it is what it is. But my favorite part is when you're at Fletz at night and all the lights are off or it's dark outside, but then all the lights go on and there's just stars everywhere and it looks so cool.
The lighting with the water, with the sound of the flowing water.
Oh my god. But yeah, I just love that town. I love the song. It's kind of got this tropical oil drummy type sound going on.
Right. It's one of those towns where you finish the story portion and you're I think I'll just make one more round, and talk to all the NPCs again before
totally.
I go.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely my favorite town in that whole game. I always look forward to that part when I think I've played through Legend of Dragoon 2 or 3 times, and always a favorite for sure. So yeah, Fletz. Go there, visit it, enjoy it, soak it in.
Very solid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having a hard time picking between these two last ones I have, so I'm going to throw it to Nick.
Okay. So my other one is pretty obvious, I think. Inaba from Persona 4 is
solid choice.
It's a city, and it's the main hub of the game during their days. It's just the whole. I like the feeling of it because it's a small town, small town in Japan, and you could just visit people. You see your friends around during specific times of the day. You get to do jobs and everything. It's just Everything that happens there is great.
I love that the small town like hub, like the fun place to hang out is like a grocery store. Like Juness is like this grocery store with like a food court, and like that's the cool hangout spot. And it's funny because it totally reminds me of when I lived in Korea, and like it felt like Inaba because the main town was just this one like strip, like this one road
street.
Yeah, and like at the end of the road was this giant grocery store called Lotte Mart, and it was the same type of deal. Like it was a one-stop shop; you could buy everything there, and it had food, and like that was like a general meeting spot with, my friends and stuff like that. So like Inaba like totally reminded me of that.
I just like in throughout the game you get like your driver's license and you go to like the big city.
That is in Golden. In the OG PS2 version, there is no other city. There's no scooters, but we're talking about Golden here.
You tell him, Taylor.
Yeah,
Golden.
Set him straight.
And then you can also go to the beach.
Tone it down, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, the beach is super cool. Yeah. There's some fun events there for sure.
So yeah, I thought that I just liked that main city compared to Persona 3. I didn't like the city in Persona 3.
It's more big city. I know what you mean. I like the small town feel. You get to know everybody.
But I'm gonna have to get used to that because Persona 5
you're in like Tokyo.
It's in Tokyo, so
yep,
crazy. Connor.
Okay, so back to me. I'm ready. By the way, Nick, I know you said you have 2, but I challenge you to think of one more while me and Taylor are doing these ones, because I know with all the JRPGs you've played, and as the curator of a JRPG podcast, you could certainly come up.
Putting
with
me
another.
on the spot there, Connor.
I have no problem with that at all. I will do that.
You tell him, Connor.
One big dick.
All right, moving on. So, for my second choice, I'm going to have to go with a predictable series to choose from. Final Fantasy VIII. And this is an interesting game because there's this dynamic in the Final Fantasy VIII world where some of the cities or cultures, if you will, scattered across the globe in that game are kind of like at different levels of technological advancement. And so like some of the towns at first are kind of more like modern today, where they have like cars, people are kind of like dressed like contemporary, like modern society today. And then there's this city that you get to go to not like way later in the game, not until disc 3, which is pretty far into the game, and it's just hyper futuristic. Everyone's flying around on floating discs up on these giant floating raised walkways with these huge crystal looking skyscrapers in the background. It's Esthar. And it's just crazy in that game because you get there and it's just kind of like being transported into the future, and there's this crazy like robotic futuristic music, like beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. And it's just like makes you feel like you're in outer space in this crazy like cyber wonderland. Everything's really bright colors. You get around by, like I said, like floating around these
tubes or whatever,
through like big Futurama tubes. And so like it's just really kind of like one of those experiences where you can really feel your character kind of walking through that place going like, wow, like what a big crazy world we live in, that like there's a city like this I never could have imagined. And it's like you really feel it through him. You want to explore the whole place, just like, wow, like this crazy futuristic wonderland, like you want to explore every inch. And another part that's great about that town is you get a ton of really awesome items in it. And so it's like that always helps with having fond memories, because it's like I associate going to Esthar with like getting the Laguna card and is it the Laguna card? Either way, there's some super rare cards you can get in Esthar, and there's a bunch of new weapons, and you could buy all the past weapon guides that like any ones you missed earlier in the game there. It's like,
isn't that also where you get the Ragnarok, the ship?
That's right. Like Esthar is pretty much the last thing you do before you go to the place where you get the Ragnarok.
Got it.
To be as vague as possible.
Sure.
Because we need to worry about spoilers from a game from 1999.
Yeah.
Well, because we respect history and those who may not have experienced it yet.
Absolutely.
It may have been 17 years ago, but I must respect the anonymity of the plot. So yeah, Esthar's pretty great. So that's back to you, Taylor.
All right. So my last entry will be Ding Dong Dell from Ni no Kuni. It's
you could pick any town from that game.
I could, but I think this one is in particular my favorite because I think it like what's the word I'm looking for? It like envelops like everything that I love about that game. it's like the little tiny details, right? So there's a cat that is the mayor of this town, right? And
the Grimalkin King.
Exactly. And as you explore this town, you just like notice little details. Like at first, you're like, "Oh, there's like cat people. That's cool." Like cat people and like normal humans are sort of like living together. But then, like as you like kind of start paying attention, you'll notice that like there's like little cobblestone paintings that are like fish on the walls, and then like you go to the center of town, and like the bricks are in this like mosaic like fish dancing together, and there's like this fountain with like a bunch of fish. So it's like there's like this huge fish theme that's going on. But it's like elaborately detailed and almost subtle in some ways. Like if you're not paying attention, you're not going to really notice it. But then if you do, you're like, oh wow, there's like some thought going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like the total whimsical like Ghibli city from a movie. You're like, oh, this is great. And like the song, you want to talk about like songs that bring up good memories. Like
I do want to talk about songs that bring up good memories.
Oh my gosh, like Ding Dong Dell has maybe like the most memorable song in like the whole game outside of like maybe the world map music or something. Because that's like when you go to like the other world, that's the first place you go, and I'm just like, man, this is just so beautiful. I just loved walking around there.
It's perfect in that respect because it's like you're playing as Oliver, and it's like you get dropped off into this crazy, giant, new, fantastic world, and it's like that being the place you go to first because it's like it is a really mellow, kind of carefree town. So it's like it gives you that sense, kind of like Estar, where you're just like, oh wow, like this is amazing. You kind of like experience the wonder that your protagonist is.
Oh, totally, yeah. And there's like so many little nooks and crannies that you can find. Like there's like off to the side, there's like this little waterfall. I don't know if you call it a windmill. What do you call like a water mill? Yeah. Probably, I guess that's what you'd call it.
Yeah.
And then like there's like a little staircase, and you walk up, and like the mouse version of your friend in like your home world or whatever is just like hanging out there with his glasses. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like you normally may not even like happen across that, but it's just a fun little town to explore.
It's a cute town.
Yeah.
Especially because I love cats, and all the cat people in Ding Dong Dell, they're called Grimalkins, which I thought it was kind of cool. They gave them an actual like unique name for their race instead of just like calling them cat people.
Right.
So that's cool. They're just adorable. And like King Tomcat, he's like he's such a great character too. He's quite lovable.
Absolutely. So that's gonna brand it out for me for the JRPG town. So what do you guys got?
You guys gave me looks. Kind of scared me there.
Why, are you not ready?
I am ready.
Okay, well then go.
All right. So, one of the not most memorable city in Tales of Destiny, but I think it's a very memorable one. I'm going to combine them. Is Cherik and Calviola.
Oh, those are the desert cities, right?
Yes.
Your character is constantly sweating up a storm.
Exactly.
Because he's a country white boy who's not used to the heat.
Yeah. So like they're all hot and everything, and it's just funny because it's like you just see like there's like a filter on the game where it's like waving, and it's like, oh my god, it's so hot.
Like the heat distortion. Yeah. And it's funny too because in those towns, like the locals are super like coarse to everyone who's like an outsider.
Exactly.
So you're like everyone is just totally hating on you everywhere you go.
And it's like how one of the mini games is a kid. It's like, hey, let's play tag, and then you just have to run around.
Yeah, I love how ruthless that game of tag is because he's like, hey, you want to play tag? It's like 50 gold or whatever to play with me, and you're like, yeah, sure. And you right when you hit like accept to start the race, the kid just goes right off the screen.
You're like, what?
What the hell? Gonna catch him? So needless to say, I didn't finish that mini game. Very many playthroughs.
Yeah, it's a hard game to get through. But the main city, the one Calviola, is where it has the temple.
Oh, that's the one where you have to break in at night.
Yeah,
right?
you have Philia help you break in.
Philia bomb.
But yeah, I like that whole setup where you had to like actually like sneak in and like be very stealthy, or you'll get caught. And you like a priest is like, hey, what are you doing there? And you just like kick their ass. It's like, I'm sorry, me too.
It's like, wow, I guess I didn't need to be stealthy. I could just
destroy all you.
Brutalize everyone in my way.
Were you trying to catch Batista or
yeah,
just
that's Batista.
Batista, yeah,
because he's the one who supposedly stole the Eye of Atimony from the Straywise Temple.
There you go.
I can't believe I remember all these
wow,
names.
I know that's
I haven't
pretty
played this
obscure.
game in years.
I'm telling you, I said before the podcast, Connor's a JRPG Rain Man.
Well, with the games I've
Temple
played,
of Antimony from the city of Arkham.
you stole the antimony from Straywise Temple in Western Pandaria.
And you were hired by
started turning into Richard Nixon halfway through that.
Howard Wapner.
Oh, then you're gonna have to travel west to Calviola. I'm not a crook. Anyways. Yeah, there's some good memories of those desert towns, and like I don't remember the name of the region that those are in.
It doesn't say. I don't remember.
I can kind of.
It's the only reason it's hot because they're surrounded by volcanoes, and like there's
pretty good reason.
Yeah, there's those two towns, and then there's Junktown, which is just a town of trash.
Yeah, when we were throwing the frisbee, talking about the topic before, we were just like, dude, we just pick Junktown, the absolute like crappiest town like ever in any RPG.
You're walking around, and if you like run into gas, you get poisoned, and it's like, oh, okay. Why would people live here?
I was thinking of picking the Corel Desert. I mean, there's a lot of good memories there. Getting lost in the desert.
Giant mountain of scrap. Everyone hates you because you ruined their village. Or Barrett, I did, I guess. But we digress. So I guess that just leaves one more, which is good because we're dragging on here a little bit.
And we still have one more topic.
Oh God, it'll
be a big one.
We'll have to gloss over it. But oh goodness, my train of thought. Where have you gone? Oh yeah, so I'm gonna go with a classic game. As you guys know, it's hard for me to go a whole episode without name dropping it on this podcast, but the city of Bledavik in Xenogears is absolutely fantastic. Kind of for the same reason as Termina, or Another World Termina that you were talking. Termina? Titus.
Yeah.
But either way, it's like right when you enter the city, it's just immediately it's the main drag, and there's a ton of vendors and shops on both sides. You're just going straight down, and as you walk through, they're all shouting at you like, "We got Biz Fruits over here. Biz Fruits trying to sell like Monster Eyes over here," and everyone's like trying to sell you like a classic like medieval town. Everyone's just trying to hawk their wares, and then there's all these kids, all like the inner city. Slum kids who are running around causing trouble, and you could play hide and seek with them and get the hide and seek badge. And there's all these different businesses you could go into, and it's like you're going into the town like right before this big tournament happens, and so like all these dignitaries are there, and the town is just totally lively, filled with visitors and people who are like make money off tourism. And there's all these awesome mini games at the festival too, which are like fire breathing mini game, and you could like there's this cake eating mini game, and then there's like the tent of horrors where you can go in. Basically, there's just a zillion things to do in the town, and like Termina, it has one of those songs that is so lively it just puts you in a good mood.
Is it made by the same composer too? So it's not surprising.
Mitsuda?
Yeah, Yasunori Mitsuda. Yeah, same guy.
I don't want to butcher the great one's name.
Is it like an actual medieval town, or is it?
Oh, well, it's kind of like a desert town. It's got like the eastern kind of feel. It's like it's the capital of Ave, which is a nation that's like basically built on the desert. So.
If you get into your gear, where you freak everyone out because you're like, ooh, future.
Oh no, they're like, well, that kind of answering that question would kind of require delving into the story of Xenogears a little bit, because like all of the civilizations in that world are not very advanced, but there's these ruins where like these ruins of hyper advanced like futuristic civilizations are there. So they're like these kind of like more medieval cultures are like digging up these insane robots from the future and like learning to fight with them. So
crazy.
It's kind of like it's a really good explanation for why there's a mixture of like medieval elements and futuristic elements. Whereas like in a game like FF8, like your guy has a sword that has a gun on it.
Yeah,
like,
it's like all right,
like, what the hell is that for? But
it looks cool.
But yeah, just shout out to Bledavik, and then you get to actually fight in the fighting tournament there while you infiltrate the castle, and just beautiful memories in that town.
Classic fighting tournaments.
Indeed.
One of my favorite JRPG tropes.
Absolutely. So that does it for some of our favorite town shout-outs. And I mean, towns, like, what makes a great town, like the spirit of it, the music, kind of like is a microcosm of what makes JRPGs great. So that's why it deserves.
You always need towns that have a story.
Exactly. Towns that are memorable, that have personality and spirit all their own.
Exactly.
Like, we didn't mention this game at all, but just like the name Midgar, like just brings back all kinds of memories for people. You know what I mean? So,
sorry, this is one of the most perfect like opportunities for like what are some of your favorite towns if you're a listener, because there's so many that we can't cover and so many that I'm sure we didn't think of, where if you suggest them we'll just like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't think of that one.
Oh,
such an idiot. Yeah. Such an idiot.
Yeah.
Slap Nick across the face.
Okay.
But yeah, let us know in a comment what some of your favorite RPG towns
totally
captured your heart.
All right, let's move on to our last topic of the podcast.
Okay.
Which is our beginner's guide. Beginner's handbook.
Right. The JRPG Beginner's Handbook. Say it right.
The JRPG Beginner's Handbook, which we are going to, with the system of choice this week, PSP.
AKA the PlayStation Portable.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting going from, like, choosing from a catalog of games that is so giant with PS1 to one that's much smaller with PSP. So
a lot of remakes on that system.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of remakes to choose from. So curious to see if you guys go with any of those or some PSP originals. So why don't we start with Nick, because Taylor's starting all the stuff today.
Okay, that's because he hasn't talked that much during our things. Okay. I'm not going to pick a remake. I'm going to pick one of my first JRPGs that I played on the system.
Oh, man.
And remember, just the purpose of this segment is like, these are great games for someone who's new to JRPGs, not necessarily the best game on the system.
Exactly.
So, and that of course includes like availability. So continue.
Well, first off, PSP games are not going to be that available right now.
Well, it's, relative to the system.
Exactly.
I mean, if you go on Amazon or
you
eBay, you might be able to find something.
But Legend of Heroes, A Tear of Vermilion, which
Okay.
was the first one released in the U.S. for PSP, which is like super basic JRPG. Like it reminds me of
it's like the quintessential beginner's game.
Yes, it's super basic. The towns are very like generic, but I just love the story. The story gets really good in the middle. The gameplay, the battle system's like very basic, just like I Am Setsuna. Except it's not.
Is it engaging enough where it doesn't get boring though?
I don't remember. What didn't bore me, that's for sure.
Okay,
so
well that's good.
But it's not like super engaging like I Am Setsuna, because that just came out this year. And this game came out like 15 years ago, a long time ago.
Jesus, that makes my head hurt.
But the game's great. I love the music. This is the PSP version, not the PC version, because the PSP version was like a reimagining kind of thing. And
so superior.
Yeah, it's superior. Has great music, has great characters. I really, really enjoyed the character arcs for these characters. It's just every JRPG that has great characters just makes it way.
That's the whole thing.
Exactly.
It's like the components are like, what music are we working with? What kind of characters are we working with? And what's the battle/ability system? Those are like the three pillars of JRPGs that I can think of off the top of my head.
And even if one of those is weak, like the battle system or the music, if it has really, really good characters, you could look past those.
High tide raises all ships.
Yes.
So if I remember right, like these early Legend of Heroes games almost looked like they could be like PS1 games, right? Like they had really kind of spritey almost, or like really basic art style.
Is it like deliberate, like Lunar, how we're like, this is 8-bit, we're making this look old? Or is it just kind of like...
It's an old game. That's the reason.
For sure.
And it just made for the PSP, so some things were like smoothed out and stuff like that.
And to reiterate on the name, it's Legend of Heroes, A Tear of Vermilion.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm good.
Nice. But I haven't played the other ones. That was the one that I played, and of course we're playing the newer ones now. Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel,
right?
And Legend of Heroes, Trails of Sky,
which we have lauded many a time.
Yeah, it's really good. Like this is like the beginning of that series, kind of.
Okay. So it's cool in a sense that it's a good standalone game, and it also kind of primes you to play some other really cool games in the same series.
Exactly.
Sweet.
All right. Oh my gosh, I just totally... Okay, I know what mine is. I can't believe I didn't think of this.
You had something this whole time, and before it's your turn.
Yeah, I changed my mind, yeah. So... Another Falcom classic. This is probably my favorite PSP game, but I also feel like it's like totally approachable. Like if you've never played a JRPG before, you can totally play it. Ys 7.
And Ys is YS.
Yeah. A lot of people called it Wise, but it's pronounced Ys. Wow, I can't believe I didn't think of this. But so
probably because it's like an action RPG.
It's still
a JRPG.
Still JRPG. So the way this game works is that you're Adol. He's in every Ys game, and you have 3 party members, and you can always see them. They're like tagging along behind you, but at any time you can switch to that character on the fly, and the enemies you're fighting always have like some type of weakness, either to like a bow attack or a sword attack or fists or whatever. So you are constantly having to like swap your characters to like be able to do damage better to these to enemies and stuff like that.
It's pretty fast paced.
Oh yeah, super fast paced. Like you're just hacking and slashing, swapping characters,
it's
doing
like Diablo like.
I wouldn't go that far, but well, maybe because you're like constantly like picking up items and stuff like that. But it's just super fun to like go through dungeons. Like dungeon crawling is like a total blast in this game. And like, you know how like typical JRPG, I'll do that. The wailing guitar, like the boss battle music is like, so good. So good. Oh, dude, that music with the flowing water. But like, what I love about it is it has the typical like mix of JRPG towns. There's like the snow town and the desert town and like the forest town. So
you gotta
like
mix it up.
Yeah, and so it always has like a good mix of that stuff. Boss battles are always super epic. Like you have to be like on your game, super fun. And like this was like one of the only games like in my head where I could think of like when I beat it, I immediately like started over and played it again.
Wow,
like
that's really hard to do.
Yeah, like I usually when I finish a game, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a break and play something else. But I was like, dude, this game's like super epic. I want to start over and play it again, like on hard or whatever. So,
wow.
Yeah, super like I think it's pretty available, not very expensive. Like if you were to like buy like a disc version, and I think you can also do it digitally for pretty affordable. What?
I'm trying to think if you can
do what. Play digitally?
Digitally.
I mean, you could check. But either way, it's not a terribly expensive or rare game. So if you were to like go and like try to buy it on Amazon or whatever, probably only like $20 or something like that, if that.
Well, hell of a sales job, dude. I mean, I want to play it now.
Dude, seriously, go get it.
Usually I don't listen to a word that comes out of your mouth. So I might have to make an exception.
The Ys games are really good.
Because I don't know, we were going down this path in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, Falcon Legend of Heroes, and I'm like, ooh, Ys. I'm like, oh my god, E7, this game's amazing. Yeah. I can't believe I didn't think of it, but yeah, dude, E7.
Now all you need to do is pick a Falcon game, and we'll complete the cycle.
Well, I have no designs to do anything that you want me to do, Nick. So you're gonna have to come up with a new plan there, because I am gonna be super boring. I'm gonna pick one of the greatest games of all time, just because it's pretty much like, this may not be the most archetypal, like if you're getting into JRPGs, play this, but I have to pick this just because it
on
is
principle alone,
right?
Almost.
It's a monolith in the world of RPGs. Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Lions, like the original was one of the greats, as we've parroted many times on this podcast. But War of the Lions really took it to another level, because it added co-op and versus, like that you could play locally, like via infrared, which for that game, like if you told us that feature was going to exist, like back when it came out in 98,
yeah,
like we would have flipped out.
Oh my god!
If you said that we could battle our armies against each other, like
super cool.
My god! And they added a bunch of unique items and armor that are only attainable through versus and co-op missions. Like, and they updated all of the language and dialogue to be like Old English, like really masterfully, I might say. Like whoever did like the English, it's not a translation, I guess, because it was already
localization.
Translated.
Yeah,
but like whoever did the writing for that script, like the new War of the Lions script, just absolutely killed it. They brought home the bacon big time.
And those cutscenes are gorgeous.
Yeah,
the hand-drawn
They added the hand-drawn cutscenes, but with that like interesting quality of the skin where it's all shifting, kind of, like it's like the images are moving across a textured surface rather than like typical just like anime. It's really gorgeous with like great voice acting, and it's like you get to see classic Tactics characters like in cinematics interacting, where in the original Tactics game there was like 2 cinematics in the entire game. Like one at the beginning and one at the end.
And then really, the beginning one had like almost nothing to do with anything.
Right.
Really?
It was literally the beginning.
It was just like an
guys.
atmospheric trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're just running.
Not
They're
even-
they're just running to the church you're at.
Yep.
So basically, I'm not going to try to do some big sales job on Final Fantasy Tactics because I don't think that's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this game is accessible enough and interesting enough that even if you haven't played a JRPG before, if you put in a good effort or like give it a good college try, like you'll fall in love with this game just like all of us have. So, Tactics for the Lions for PSP.
I mean, you could get both of them on the Vita easily. So
Right. I mean, you can play the original too. It's still great, but I mean, they added Dark Knights and like Onion Knights and
Balthier as a playable character.
and Luso from Tactics Advance 2. Like,
Yep.
God, they just. And it's like for them to revisit such a like an old game like that and add so much and like go over it with such like a loving touch, like just good on you, Square Enix.
Absolutely.
Square Enix,
Yeah.
Titus, Titus,
Claude.
Claude,
Cloud, Quad,
Tifa,
Clued,
Tifa, Yufa, Yuffie, Yuffie.
Quad.
just hearing Cloud
Tifa, Tifa?
just reminded me of the trailer we saw at PSX right now, and I got shivers.
Dude.
Do do do.
Oh my god.
Do 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 do.
Do 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 do.
So stoked for 15 and 7.
And
Pardon
7.
me. I don't know why I said 15.
I want to see actual gameplay of 7 at Tokyo Game Show. I was hoping for it to be at E3.
Well, Nick, it's natural to want things in life, but you don't always get what you want, all right?
I never get what I want.
I think Mick Jagger said something about that. But anyways, I think that about wraps up this episode, doesn't it, Mr. Nick?
It does, and that will be it. Bye.
All right, thanks for listening to this episode of the Giant Sword Podcast. Be sure to check out our brother, sister, LHG Cast, and thanks for listening.
Have a good night.
Moogly.
Boogly.